Good evening, good evening. It's 8 o'clock here, Central European summertime. It's last week with summertime. Next week we're on whatever they call it, normal time. So I am streaming, hopefully, on our Facebook page and also in our group. We have a free Facebook group called Back to Basics. And in that group, we have our own dog trainers, teachers, who will help you out if you have any questions or need any help with your dog. So I will post the link to that group when I'm finished with the live, so you can go ahead and be a member if you want. It's completely free. So if you are here, please let me know in the comments. Tell me where you are. I am in Norway. My name is Lisbeth. I'm the founder of Nordic Dog Trainer. And every Wednesday at 8 Central European Time, I'm here live talking about dogs, all things dogs. So tonight I am going to talk about unrealistic expectations that we have for our dogs. And there are quite a few. I have saved just 10 for this evening, but there are so many more. We can do many lives on this topic, unfortunately. But I think it's good to remind each other once in a while that some of the things we do, or, well, it depends, of course, but maybe a lot of the things we do, ask our dogs to do, is a bit unrealistic. And I will talk about why it's unrealistic as well. So we have Anna Maria in Belgium and Michaela in Austria. It's nice to see you, and thank you for letting me know that you are here. So all my Facebook lives, they are automatically recorded here on our Facebook page, or in the group if you're watching from the group, Back to Basics. So you can go and re-watch, or you can share the Facebook Live on your own Facebook page so more people get to see it and maybe reminded about something that is important anytime. So we have Justina in Poland as well, and we have Angelica also in Austria. So nice. Austria is one of my favorite countries, if you didn't know. Absolute favorite. My mother used to live in Vienna for 10 years. So I love that city. We have the Netherlands. Three people. Two people. Three comments, two people from the Netherlands. You might have noticed that my surname is Dutch because my father is Dutch. That's the reason. But I don't speak Dutch. I do understand, but I don't speak. And I can blame everything on my father. So if he's watching this, he knows. He knows this. Okay, let's talk about unrealistic things we're asking our dogs to do. If you have any comments or any general questions, I'm happy to have a look at them in the comments during the live session. I've noticed that some people are watching the recordings later, and it could be even a year later, asking questions in the chat. But questions for my live sessions, like I do now on Wednesdays, they are replied to only when I'm live here. So, why am I inspired to talk about this unrealistic expectations that we as dog caretakers often have for our dogs? It's because I see it everywhere. I see it when there are courses and activities going on, and I've definitely seen it during my own dog courses. I used to do that full time for a few years before I started the dog trainer school, which is now our full-time project, the dog trainer school and the care membership. And before that, for years, I was doing only consultations, private consultation and private lessons, and also activities and courses, puppy courses, adolescent courses, senior courses, and so on. And a common mistake is to think that we have trained our dog to do something, and then we haven't really. And I'll explain more about that when I list the 10 examples I want to talk about tonight. And that this is just overall, not only for dog training, but overall. So, example number 1 of unrealistic expectations we have for our dogs is that they should always be behaving well. Always well-behaved dogs without any training. Of course, that's not possible. We have to train or help our dogs to understand what is expected from them in different circumstances. So this is what we do when we get a dog. If you get a puppy, is that we socialize the puppy and we help teaching them how to behave with other people and other dogs and maybe even other animals. And I prefer to actually say teach them to learn behavior, appropriate behavior with us humans, because that's what we're doing. I also, of course, I use the word training because that's what I think it's just, maybe I should try and change it, but it's very difficult because we're used to saying dog training. So everything we do with dogs is dog training, but that's very often, it's a mix between, obedience. Sometimes when we talk about training, a lot of people think about obedience, and I don't want everything to be obedience. I just want it to be natural behavior, being relaxed, feeling good, doing things together with your dog. So a lot of people think that they have dogs that are not well behaved. It's because of the personality of the dog. But to be honest, it's mostly our fault that you or I didn't train our dogs or teach our dogs properly, or we confuse the dogs because we are not even aware of how their language are, so we can't really communicate with them. So well-behaved dogs without any training or teaching them to know how to do it is just very unrealistic. Also, do think about the fact that dogs, when they train something, for example, recall, you start training in a place where it's very little chance that there's a lot of disturbances around. So, for example, inside your house or outside in your garden, and then you go somewhere, maybe a park, a parking lot, somewhere, anywhere where there is not a lot of disturbances, and then you train it there. And then when the dog knows what it means, you can start to gradually take it other places to teach them in different environments. Because a lot of dog owners, they're surprised when they come to the activity, the course that we're doing, and they always say that, oh, but my dog, he's usually so good with recall at home or when we go for a walk. Yeah, because there's not a lot of disturbances and they've done it before. So in this setting, in a course with other dogs and a lot of people around, maybe cars, noise, different place, different smells, everything different, and a lot more exciting maybe than at home, then you can't trust your dog to do a proper recall. This is something we gradually have to train. Number 2 of unrealistic things that we expect from our dogs is to never bark. So barking is a very natural way of communicating and expressing ourselves or themselves with barks and other noises. So expecting a dog never to bark is unrealistic. And actually, it's also, that's my personal opinion, quite ignorant. It's not allowing your dog to express themselves. So barking, whining, whatever the sound is, even growling, is a natural form of communication. And we should not punish our dogs for doing that. We need to manage the situation. So this, of course, depends on where you live. What, it's different if you live in a small flat in a city and you have neighbors and your dog is barking all day or all evening. Then it's something wrong, first of all. If it's barking all the time, it's something wrong. So you need to find out why your dog is barking. And then you need to have tolerance for it. That's what I want to say. Tolerance for having giving your dog the opportunity to express themselves. So what do I mean by that? I have gardens where I lived. I manage my life because I used to have many dogs. Now I only have Wilma, but I used to have 8 dogs. So for me, it was important to manage my living environment so it was easier for me. So I chose to live in the in the woods, a little bit away from other people, neighbors, and shops. Not very convenient, but at the same time extremely convenient when you have dogs. So I do allow my dogs to bark if someone is ringing the doorbell or if they hear a car coming or something is happening. I allow them to because they're not barking forever. They're just expressing an emotion at that time. So I think we should be allowed to let them express their emotions. Also when you come home and they're happy to see you. When Wilma, my basset, who's sleeping behind me here, when she jumps out of my car when we're somewhere else and we're going for a walk, she very often barks a few times, and she has a very loud and deep bark. And yeah, I have to say, I'm not always too happy about it because it draws people's attention to us. But I let her because it's a part of her expressing herself, and it's just a few barks, and then it's all over. Now, I'm not talking about barking as a problem behavior. So it's unrealistic and cruel, according to me, to not allow your dog to express themselves with their voice. Okay. Number 3 is that we expect sometimes that they understand complex commands that we're trying to teach them immediately, too fast. And this is, I would say, 99.9% of the times, it's our training skills. You have to look at, first of all, you need to look at your own body language. So you should, because it makes everything so much easier when you know how to communicate with your dog, so you know what your dog is trying to tell you. And then how you can position your body when you are training your dog, for example, for a recall, to not face your dog, straight on, but to have your side a little bit towards the dog would normally help because it's a much more polite language. All of these kind of things. So when you train your dog to do something, leash walking or recall or any of these things, if your dog can't do it, it's highly likely because you haven't been a good enough teacher for your dog. So we have to look on ourselves, why was I not able to teach my dog this well enough? So look at yourself and how you are doing this training with your dog. Number 4 is, I think it's also very important, and that is that we for some reason, expect our dogs to be friendly with every other dog, all dogs and even people. And some people even think that it's something wrong with their dog if it doesn't love everyone. So here's the thing. That is completely normal. You have a completely normal dog if they are skeptical to some, if they love some, and these kind of things. It's about feelings and emotions, and it's individual. You can't say that I have a golden retriever, so it's strange that he doesn't like the neighbor's golden retriever. But it's all about the personality and individual dog, who they like and who they don't like that much. Again, it's all, we should give them choices. If they don't like to be touched by a person that they are wary about, that they don't like for some reason, yes, I know it's annoying. We can never know why they don't. We can only do qualified guesses. But let them choose if they want to be touched by a person. Don't force them to play with other dogs. They are not. It's perfectly normal for dogs to become really good friends with some dogs and to accept other dogs. And then a few dogs, maybe they don't really appreciate at all. It could be the other dog's bully behavior or something about them. And you can ask why many times, but we will never know the answer for sure because they can't speak. So I do get quite often these questions. Why does my dog like my neighbor's dog? Or, it could be a little bit of a problem if you have a dog and your parents have a dog and then you spend a lot of time together as a family and your dog doesn't really like each other. Of course, that's not nice. But why they don't like each other? We have to ask the dog. It's individual. Number 5 is also something that we can't expect them to do, and that is to never chew or have any kind of destructive behavior. You need to expect that this can happen, especially if you get a puppy. Puppies, they chew things. That's what they do. And dogs can start engaging in destructive behavior if they have problems with something. So it's not usually the chewing part or the destructive chewing part or destructive behavior part is the result of something not being right with the dog. It could be a pain issue, it could be a stress issue, it could be a boredom issue. That we need to find the right cause. We need to try and find out why the dog has this behavior. And then when we start, fixing the cause of the behavior will stop. Okay, hold on. I have so many things on my mind today. Number 6 is that we should not expect our dogs to have a perfect recall in every situation unless you've been really good training your dog. So very often we train our puppies recall, and like I said earlier, we train them at home and they do it very well at home because it's no exciting things happening around the puppy, and maybe the puppy gets a lot of treats and love coming to you. But if you're somewhere else, there could be some interesting smells or some interesting people or other dogs around. So you need to do the training, and you need to keep on doing the training with recall. You need to remind the dog. So it's not something that you finished training when the puppy is 4 months old. You should always do a little bit of training. And what I mean when I say training is that recall is easy to do. It's to call your dog to you. And what is the best reward for a dog, you think? If it's off leash to come to you, the best reward would be to be able to run free again without the leash. And what very often happens is that after we train the recall, we think we've finished training the recall, because that's what we do with children. We teach them to read, and then they can read. We read for the rest of our lives. But to be good at reading, you have to keep on reading and reading other books, different kind of books, different kind of texts, and so on. Same thing with the recall training. So you need to train at different places. And guess what? If you always end your walk off leash with a recall, and the recall is then when the dog gets the leash on, what do you think the dog associates the recall with? No more play, no more freedom, running around, could be a bit boring, the end of the fun time. So they associate the recall with something that is a bit boring for them. So that's why it's important to do a couple of recalls once in a while, not all the time. And don't make a big deal out of it, setting up a proper training session and putting on special clothes for it or whatever. No, just call your dog once in a while and, reward them for coming to you. Number 7, staying calm in all environments. That's also something which is unrealistic to expect for our dogs. It depends, of course, on the environment, but if your dog is not used to being on the bus or the tram or in a situation where there's a lot of people around, you can't expect him to be calm. They have to train. That's why we socialize them as puppies. That's why it's so important to learn and to be with them and train being calm. Not training the obedience of go lay down, because that's an obedience thing, go lay down, but training to be calm. You know how we do that? Turid has a whole fantastic lesson in the care membership about it. I think maybe I shared it once here as well on Facebook as a free lecture, I'm not sure. But this is something that a lot of dog owners want to learn, of course. But if you want a calm dog, you need to be calm. So you need to start doing calm things with your dog. Unless you have several dogs, then do it with all of them. We can talk about that on some other Facebook Live as well. Number 8. I just recently got an email again about this. It's about house-trained puppies. We expect puppies to be house-trained within a week or 2, which is crazy. The truth is that when a dog has not peed or pooed inside for 6 months, then you can safely say that your dog is house trained. What we do is, I think we all kind of know that now, every time the puppy wakes up, after sleep, after eating, after drinking, after playing, every movement, keeps things going, and then they need to pee. And the younger the puppy, the more frequent it is, and you just have to take them outside every time. And take them out before they pee, not after. And of course, never ever shout at your dog or be cruel to your dog for going to the toilet inside. And the truth is also that it is still within the normal time to be house trained within, 1 year. Your dog is still normal if it's not fully house trained and it's 8 months, 9 months, 10 months even. And there's another thing as well. It can seem, maybe you see for a couple of weeks that your dog is not peeing inside anymore, and you think, wow, this is going so well. My dog is now house trained. And then they forget again. And then it happens, accidents. So then you just have to keep on taking your dog out before, hopefully, they can go to the toilet. When they're very young, they just can't hold themselves very long. So if you live in an apartment and you have to take a lift downstairs, you won't make it. So you have to find a different solution. But within 1 year is actually still within the normal behavior. So dog owners that get their puppy when they're 8 weeks, which is kind of early anyhow, 8 weeks, and then 2 weeks later they expect the puppy to be house trained. It's very unrealistic. It's possible. Some puppies are very quick and some puppies are not. And I've had my share of puppies and I've had them all, the 1-2 week puppies and the 1 year puppy. I've had that twice actually. And it's still me. So I did the same thing with all of the dogs, but it was different. It took different amount of time, depending again on the individual dog, right? Number 9 is it's unrealistic to expect that dogs never pull on leash. So maybe you have a dog that is walking quite well, quite good, relaxed on leash, but there could be something happening. There could be a bird, there could be a cat, a rabbit, there could be something that happens and your dog will pull. So to have a no tolerance, a zero tolerance for pulling the leash is, I think, not acceptable. It's not kind. It's unrealistic to expect that. It will never do so. This is, in fact, one of the arguments people that do not want to use a harness are using. My dog is never pulling on leash. So why would I use a harness? But we can never expect that to happen all the time. Okay, that was number 9. I have a few more and I wrote 10. So I'm thinking, I'm looking at my notes. Should I take them all or should I? Well, let's go for number 10 and 11. It will be 11. Number 10 is tolerating to be alone for long hours. So dogs are extremely social species and they have to be trained to be comfortable being home alone. Full stop. And we have to train them in the best way possible. I mean, if you fail this, if you're not patient enough, you can have big trouble later, because working with dogs that have separation anxiety, if they get scared of being home alone, that is a problem, of course, but most of all for the dog. It's also a problem for you, of course, maybe even the neighbors, and for your things if your dog is having a destructive behavior. But it's also difficult. It's absolutely possible, but it takes quite a lot of work to sort it out later. So I really advise any puppy owner to take good care of this kind of training, step by step. If you are not sure how to do it, we have actually a student, Rosie. She's an expert in separation anxiety and even, home alone training. So if you want to know something about that, let me know in the comments or by email, and I will send you her address, her contact information. Because it's not normal for dogs to be alone, okay? Home alone, locked inside somewhere. Okay, and the last one for tonight is to instantly accept changes, new changes. For example, moving or getting a baby or getting another pet or even someone moving out from the home, like the children, or if you move, your partner and you separate. Changes like that, they can cause anxiety, they can cause behavioral um, changes in your dog as well. If someone, dogs can even, what's the English word for it? They can be, they can mourn. They can mourn over a lost pet, another dog or a cat or a rabbit or another house pet, or another person who left the household and never came back. So don't expect them to accept all changes. Just like us, they need time to adjust to new changes. Okay, so that was 11 instead of 10. And I think I could go on for more time as well. Maybe you even mentioned something in the chat. Let me check. Because it's important to remind ourselves, and especially the training issue, that we are expecting our dogs to be quiet, to be well behaved at all times, to be home alone for 10 hours without, any accidents or any, problems, or young puppies to be house trained very quickly. That's unrealistic. Okay. There is something in the chat. So Margarita is saying that she chews on shoes and furniture to get our attention. We give her all the attention she needs, cuddles, toys, but soon as we stop, she does it again. Hand signal doesn't work in this situation. She's 7 months old. So I'm not sure what the question is. So if your dog is chewing shoes, you have to put away the shoes. I don't know why she's craving this attention, so I have a lot of follow-up questions that I would ideally like to do, because I can just guess, and I can give some general answers to this, because I need to know everything about the situation. So if the dog constantly is craving for attention, maybe it's a taught behavior, they get something for it, and it's a 7-month-old dog, which is a teenager, and they do very often crave a lot of attention. They want something to happen. And if you let something happen by talking to your dog, looking at your dog is giving attention, throwing a bone to the dog, letting the dog out, whatever you do when you give attention to your dog, well, your dog is basically very good at training us. So it's very important, especially for young dogs, to make sure that they have the right amount of mental stimulation as well as physical stimulation the right way. If your dog is very energetic and highly active, it does not mean that you should run or cycle with your dog for, hours on end. Maybe even the opposite. You should take it more slowly. It all depends on the dog, what they need, and what you give them, of attention and mental stimuli and so on. So Rafaela is writing that I don't think it's to get your attention. As Lisbeth just said, they do it to regulate themselves. Also, it's a natural behavior. Give her time. Again, I wouldn't say necessarily that don't do anything. For example, not reacting to barking is not going to help your dogs. It's not going to stop your dog from barking. So ignoring barking, we can't do that, because then the dog will just keep on barking. Same thing with the attention. Every time your dog asks for attention and you give it to him, they will keep on doing it. They're like us. We do things because we want them. So we open a door because we want into another room. If we didn't want to go into another room, we wouldn't be bothered to open the door. So everything we do is based on that we want something from it. But this is very normal behavior for a teenage dog. They do need a lot of attention and they need a lot of mental stimulation. Okay. Yasin is asking, is it true when we stop dog pulling, we stop the curiosity? No, that is not true. When you stop your dog from pulling, or when you train your dog to stop pulling, you're doing your dog a favor, because it's not good for the dog's body physically, it's not good for your body, it's not good for anyone to pull. So it has nothing to do with curiosity. Curiosity. Yeah. I don't know where that comes from. It doesn't make sense. Good questions, which reminds me, maybe that's what I should do next time. It's been a while. So next Wednesday, I will do a general Q&A. I haven't done that for a while. So I'm happy to do a general Q&A next Wednesday for approximately 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. Hopefully this little session reminded you of things that are unrealistic. And if anything, you should have a look at how you are handling different situations with your dog, either training sessions or your expectations. Maybe your expectations are a bit too high as well. Corinne is writing, there are great books, How to Raise a Puppy. Yes, thank you, Corinne, for sharing that. So, How to Raise a Puppy by Turid Rugaas and Steph, and Julia Robertson, How to Build a Puppy. They're very good, very good. And actually, Dr. Amber Batson, she's starting an online course, but that is if you're really interested in behavior. It's an online course starting in January. It's 4 months online about the juvenile dog. So from puppy until adolescent. So the whole period. So it's open to everyone. But I would say that you need to be a little bit of a dog enthusiast and a dog geek to do all of that course, because it goes deep down in the topics. And Amber is a master queen of the science, so she has a lot of references to her lectures. But if you're working with dogs, absolutely, this course I would say is a must. And if you're a dog owner or a breeder, who are a little bit more than average interested in dogs and behavior, I would absolutely recommend this course. So she used to have 2 online courses. She used to have a puppy course and a dog course for teenagers. Now they're put together to one 4 months online course. I will actually put the link to the course as well in the comments when we're finished. Okay, I see you next Wednesday. We'll do an open Q&A. I'll write it down in my calendar so I won't forget. And thank you for being here, everyone. Share this this live session if you have any dog friends that you feel need to hear this as well. And I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.